Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year to you.
Yes, we're GRWC, Rekindled in the Fire Ministry. I'm your host, Pastor Lamar Jones, and
I'm Minister Jessica Jones.
yes, and I'm glad to see you. We have made it over. It is 2025. Everything that happened in 2024, let it be. But 2025, it's a new year and new expectations. Amen. So on today's scripture, we're going to be talking about 1 Corinthians
13, 4 through 8.
All right. And it says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it does not is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easy angered, it keeps no record of wrongs, loves, does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, there will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. Amen. And today we're going to be talking about
patience within the a marriage.
Yes, patience is very important. It's a virtue in marriage, and it can help to create healthy and lasting relationships. I'm telling you, uh, with me and with it is definitely we have to have patience when you're dealing with my background, her background, and us trying to become one. You gotta patience all around. Especially you get married, and kids, then you got ministry. You might have some patience.
And like then you're like the two different people, like so we're still trying to learn each other, grow together, and that requires a lot of patience as well, especially if this is like your first time like being married. It's different from dating and courtship. Like marriage is a whole different ball game, so it takes a lot of patience just to even learn how to be married.
Yeah, yeah. We've been in a lot of circumstances where I might fly over the handle, she might fly over the handle, or just how we engage each other. But we're going to be talking about some tips, that you can use in marriage that really, really, really will help you. First off, we're going to talk about
being a present like in a marriage.
yes. Patience involves being attentive to your emotions and staying open to your partner, even when things don't go as expected. Well, we got a little story. When we had gotten our truck just recently, my wife, she is very investigative. So she'll look this place, that place, this place, this place. And I kept on saying, we going to this place. I have did the research as well, and I'm looking at the right price. And she's like, well, they got it too. And then they messed around and sold the truck that she wanted. It was a 2024 Nissan Rogue, and then and we went to look at it. We drove it and said it was nice and everything, and we had to go somewhere. We went somewhere in DC with the family. We come back Saturday, they sold it, and she was, be honest, how'd you feel?
I'm discouraged, because I had my hopes up on getting that particular truck.
So yeah, she got discouraged, and then I was like, you know what, we gotta go, still go. She was kept on emphasizing this other dealership, and yeah, they had the price and all that, and I was like, something ain't right. So I said, let's go to this price, and I had to woosah myself because I seen the truck, and Lord and behold, she was patient. We went to the dealership. We we was there about maybe what
3 hours.
3 hours, and we came out not only not with the 2024, we came out with a 2025 right off the showroom floor, and we were able to go. But certain things like in racing takes patience.
And also taught me like sometimes that guy has something, uh, better. Just do it for his people. So that 2024 truck was probably not the truck that guy had wanted, Mr. Bless us with.
Yeah.
Probably just wanted us to have just the newer truck. So I took it as that as well.
Yeah. Another thing is, when I got sick in 2015, it dealt with different emotions. Firstly, for a man that had to leave his job because of health, and that uh, dealt with my patience, especially within the marriage. No longer being a breadwinner and everything like that. And I had to decrease myself and allow my wife to pull when I wanted to push. So it was a lot of things that deal with our emotions, and things in life don't go as you expect it to go. But we also, if we trust in God, we have to believe in His plan for our lives and everything. So, but in a marriage, we're not two, we one.
We won. And then again, that takes time just for people, just to get there, just to learn how to become one.
Yes.
Like we say the vow, but we also have to learn how to become one.
Yeah. Yeah. Another part of
being understanding.
Patience means recognizing what needs to be changed and what can be tolerated. It also involves giving your partner space to grow. As growing up in ministry, I started as deacon, then I started wanting to minister. What?
That wasn't exactly how it happened.
What happened?
We were dating. If we can be a little transparent, might help somebody tonight. We were courting at the time. We were dating. And when we first met, like we wasn't in the church, but we knew of church, we knew of God, but it wasn't in us. We didn't live that lifestyle. We went to church, but we lived an opposite lifestyle when we left the church at that time. So eventually, my husband, he had went to his grandmother's house, grabbed his suitcase, came down the step, and me and his grandmother were looking at each other like, "Where are you going?" He said about him that is moving in with me. So we briefly talked about it, but I guess he made up in his mind that we were going to live together. So make the long story short, we did live together, and we were still going to church, So we started going to a church, and we are still close with the pastor just till this day. She actually mentored us, and we didn't know exactly she was mentoring us as we came there more often. And she would actually, talk with us, and we would study the word together. She would pray with us, coach us. And then eventually, a couple months, maybe 2 months later, my husband mentioned to me about like this marriage, getting married, But if I'm being honest, I already knew that he was the one for me. I just didn't want to rush into marriage because I figured that marriage would be totally different from dating in the courtship, because when you're dating, you could just pack your bag anytime you want. But when you're married, you got to work through those issues, So I knew it was going to be a total different ball game once we said the I do part. So I was comfortable with us, what's the word, shacking up. I was comfortable with that, we got along good. He was the first person that I actually lived with. So it was something new just for me. It was nice to come home. He would cook dinner, and it's already ready. And then at the time, like it's about me being like a full-time student at the time. So he would help, laundry and stuff like that. So we did a lot of teamwork at that time. So I think that's why I got comfortable with us just living together. And we were, best friends as well. And, we got to have fun as well. As my apostle said, we got to ride the bike and all that. So it was fun, but then he started getting more into the church than I was. So the Lord used him first. So once he said yes to the Lord, the riding the bicycle thing was cut off. I ain't had no rehab, nothing, just done. And so what he said to me was like, that we had to get married, if we wanted to keep going in this relationship. So to make the long story short, about 10 months later, like we got married. So that gave me some space just to grow, because I was thinking in my head, like this from as just the world perspective about just taking our time, not rushing into a marriage, but when God, I like ordained for something to happen, we have to make that move and follow Him. Like even though you might want to do things your own way, but sometimes we get into our own way, and then that's when we messed up on things. So we got married because we wanted to receive God's blessing. We wanted to do things God's way and not on our own way. And because of that, we still together 15 years later. I think that was ours. Well, my space for growth.
It was your space for growth. Well, my part of space for growth is how I did when I went into deacon. She was deaconess, and then I went into pastor. Kept on going up to the ranks, and then eventually pastor. And it just seemed like I was going to a stature, but at the same time, my partner was growing, but it was not in my time; it was in God's timing. God put in my spirit, that it was time to get married, and I wanted to be, to get serious. And yeah, I did ask her. What was that, 2 months?
2 months.
2 months in, but I knew what I wanted, and and that finally, it within a year, she was graduating from a master's.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, and we got married. So yes, patience means recognize what needs to be changed. That sometimes we also means our behaviors. Um, you know, letting your partner know what you do not like. What are triggers, things that might go against the grain. All right. Next part, we'll be going to talk about
being constructive.
Now, being constructive, patient allows you to respond to relationships dynamics in a thoughtful and constructive way, rather than being reacting repulsively.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because then again, we both come from different background, different upbringing. We both went through different like the traumas as well. So I think with that, we have to be careful about how we respond, like our response, how we say things, because sometimes we don't think before we speak, and when we don't think, sometimes we might can trigger our spouse. Based on that trauma that they went through, just by not thinking before we respond.
Right. You can also be like, you thinking like you're still back in the street. Like you might someone say something to you, and you're like in quick reaction, just because you're so used to that dynamic that it's like, I'm gonna say something to get them, but this is your wife, this is your husband. You gotta be careful what you say, because words do cut.
It hurts.
It does hurt. You can be saying one thing and don't mean it, but your spouse, because you said it,
it wounds you.
It wounds you. It's like a double-edged sword, and it will cut. And you might not mean it, or you want to be sorrowful, but it's because you said it. That's when it came out. That's what made all that destructive power do a whole lot of damage. So, being careful of what you're saying and just being patient, and it goes a long way.
It does.
Part of that is we're
Being
talking,
a good listener.
yeah,
Mm.
and that's involving listening to your partner's opinion before sharing your own and letting them finish their sentence. So you might have know what they're about to say, what they're going to say, but it's on a respectful level, but allowing her to just get her opinion out. You know, she may say one thing, but that's also part of you listening. You know, and
And then, like, sometimes I know, just for me, sometimes I will try to over talk. And so when we over talk, it's hard to hear what the other person is saying.
yeah.
So I think for couples, married couples specifically, that we have to learn to turn take, pause, reflect on what that person is saying, because sometimes you're in your own thought and not processing what your spouse is trying to say.
Right, and that's true. We will have a conversation, and it might take just a moment to process what was said. But even though I want the response right away, because I already said it, but you have to learn your mate. You know, that's how she listens. Sometimes she has to go away to understand. And also, you know, the dynamic, she is in a definite hearing, hard of hearing community, and I'm a hearing person. So we, you know,
A little
like
different.
a little different, you know. She's learning me. I'm not learning her.
Yeah, then sometimes I'm thinking he's saying something and he really didn't say that. It was something else. So I have to make sure that I really heard what he said. Or sometimes he learns sign language. So sometimes he'll sign it to me or I'll sign it to him just to make sure that we both understood what each other was saying.
And I had gotten a recollect, a humbling experience where she allowed me to put her hearing aid in my ear, and she was talking to me, and how it sounds is not like my hearing. The hearing is totally different, and she got a 60/40
Yes.
hearing in her ear. So it's like when I heard what I heard, I was like, I had to train my ear to even listen, even though I'm hearing. So being a good listener is important, and knowing your spouse, and how they learn. I'm a visual learner.
So am I. I'm a visual. I have to see it. You can talk to me all you want, but if I see it, I got you.
Right. And so, yeah, you gotta be a good listener, but you gotta learn how your mate listens. All right. Here's a big one.
Being forgiving.
Patience involves looking for compromise or letting things go when your partner does something that's idiotic to them. What you think about that?
I guess for a female, most females like to go shopping, right? We enjoy that. We enjoy buying something for ourselves, and we have a habit of telling our husband something was on sale at Macy's or Lord and Taylor, whatever store that we like to shop at, and we come home with those shopping bags, and so I'm sure it will irritate most husbands, mine included, because when you're married, you have to stick to certain budgets. We have other bills to pay, tithes, livelihood, and I think one thing we have to learn about when we get married is coming together to talk about how much we spend. Because it's not just your money or his money. Like the thing that I earn is also his earnings. His earnings is also mine. So we have to come together to talk about, okay, so how much we want to spend today? Because if not, that could cause a strain in the marriage. So that type of talk is important. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. He doesn't mind me going shopping, but to be reasonable with the spending. Like recently, we just had a Christmas time, right? So he always tell me every year, be mindful of the budget. Don't go overboard with the budget. Don't have to buy everybody a present.
Yeah, we gotta compromise. Things we gotta compromise, and you're not in this by yourself. Because when you get in trouble, Dad. I'm looking at you, and you looking at me like what? And in the back of your head, you like, well, get your own self, out of. But we gotta um also think about your partner when you get into certain situations. Y'all money is one. Y'all are one. Everything y'all do should be in one. How can two walk together unless they agree? So to compromise things. It don't have to be money. It could be things like responsibilities in the house. I can cook, right? And she'll say, "Yeah, you cook, but sometimes these dishes, baby." So when I cook, I clean it, and like when I cook, yes, I throw my whole heart into what I cook, and
that's his love.
That's my love.
Like his love language is cooking.
So she was like, "I just wish you could just clean as you got," but I said, "Well, I got you."
Yeah, but I don't understand it, like because I cook and I clean as I go, so it's less work to do because I want to enjoy my meal, But my husband, it's him, he likes to cook everything, cook it all, and he rather clean later, but most of the time it's me cleaning.
We compromise. We compromise, baby. I'll cook this, and that, and you knocked out the dishes and all that other stuff, and we work it all out.
Work it out.
You got a good meal. I got a good. I got a clean kitchen. Bam. We got it. We work. Compromise. All right. Who we going to the next? But I forgive you.
I forgive you. Yes.
Thank you. All right. Let's talk about. Here are some tips. Some tips we need to
practice patience in your marriage.
Yeah. One thing is to identify triggers. Recognizing what makes you feel impatient, whether it's being busy, not feeling well, or the way we communicate, and find that disconnect. There's in my family, we are very expressive. When it seemed like we are yelling, but we're not. We're just expressive. Our voice is loud. So, sometimes it's like it might seem to her that I might be shouting, but I'm being expressive. And then don't forget the hearing loss as well. So you gotta come into a place where we gotta connect in that area. I'm like recognize, okay, that's right. What kind of person she is. Where our family come from, or what type of style she likes to communicate. What you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, you said triggers, right?
Yeah.
So again, that goes back to being mindful about how we say things too. Because sometimes like we can bring back like an old wound, the old trauma.
Yeah.
So we gotta I think it's important to think before we respond. Think before we speak.
Yeah.
But not every thought that we have is a good thought.
It felt right. It felt right, but it don't have to be right. But it just felt right.
Yes. And sometimes, like we're not feeling well, we don't tell our spouse that. So sometimes, like we're moody. I know with me, it gets that time of the month. I don't want to be bothered. I get moody, and sometimes I don't always communicate that to him. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" It's that time of the month. So he makes sure I have my chocolate, so I don't get on his nerves. He makes sure I have my heating pad, so I can stay calm, cool, and collective. So again, we have to
yes, and I go mind my black business, just to get a little peace, because even I'm a fiery person as well, so we don't need two people, fiery, and then it just come into a disconnect. We don't need none of that. Another thing when you talk about recognizing when you're feeling impatient. When it's about to anticipate, you ain't feeling that day, you gotta stop. You gotta stop small frustration before they escalate into an outburst. You know, like what you think?
I also think about being impatient. Sometimes when we're at work, we might have had a bad day, and then we come home, we try to do a home. But I think before we even deal with home, we need to even talk with our spouse. Like, babe, I just had a rough day.
Right.
My mood is just not there today. It's not you. It is something happened on the job that just really irked my nerves. My coworker or my supervisor, my clients, my kids, whatever. It just irked me to death. Sometimes you need to vent that out. Because sometimes if you don't do that, you would take it out on your spouse. And that's not like
and it's been times where, our day's been busy. Your day been busy, your day's, and it's like we don't. It seems like we're doing a comparison, of our days, and we just gotta, just woosah for a minute.
Yeah.
Like that song, we cry together. Yes, we need to cry together sometimes. Or just need to talk about it, because life do hit you like a ton of bricks, and who's better to talk to, other than your spouse. Another part is remember you're not in control. Remind yourself that it's okay if things don't go according to plan. We have many things that we have in life that it never went exactly how he went. But you know what? We give honor to God because we're still here. You know what I mean? Yeah, it didn't line up the same way when we got married. We didn't know almost 15 years now it was gonna make it this far. Right. So got married out there. We had a baby through that. Didn't think I was gonna have kids. We had a kid. Got a little puppy dog. He's sitting here on the floor. It didn't go as according to our plan, but it was according to God's plan. You know what I mean? So, I thank God that even despite of how we think or feel, everything went according to His plan and not ours. And
And one example of that, I think we don't mind sharing, is in 2016. The Lord told us we had to relocate to Philadelphia. We were both comfortable living in Maryland. We had our own place to live. We had our cars. We had a job. We had a church home. So we were comfortable there. We did not want to move to Philadelphia. And then I was born and raised in Philadelphia, so I was comfortable living in Maryland. I wasn't that far from home. I can go home, and I wanted to go back home. But the Lord wanted us to move. So what ended up happening was I had to move first because it's me and our daughter, because he had to stay back because of work. He had a job in Maryland, and we stayed at our place in Maryland. And what happened was me and my daughter would stay at my dad's and my stepmom's house during the week, and on the weekend, so we would drive back to Maryland, or sometimes he would drive up to Philadelphia like for the weekend. And we had to do this for 6 months. Yeah. 6 months. So if you all can imagine, coming from having your own place to live, doing things the way that you want to do it. And also want to put out there that we have a great relationship with my dad and my stepmom. Nothing at all wrong with that. But it's just something about having your own. Something about having your own instead of living with someone else. But we're grateful for them for just allowing us just to stay there for the time that we had to stay there. Then the Lord opened up a door for us to have our own house, our own 3-bedroom house, our own basement. And that was a blessing, and we had some good times there as well. And then the Lord allows us just to move down here where we are now, this is Delaware. And we live right around the corner from my apostle and pastor. That was not planned. The Lord set that all up. But it's nice being around the corner for them. So if I need a little sugar or something, I feel like going to market. Apostle, we got some sugar. So it is like the God, he works it all out, like it's for our good. And even in that move, he set it up where we even had just a discount for our daughter to go to daycare. For those of you who are parents, daycare is not cheap. And you have to qualify for the vouchers for daycare, and you have to have a certain income. So we're just grateful the Lord made a way so we can send her to daycare. We are like other children to learn and everything. And we even had a discount, like we had our own place. God aligned like each thing up like this for us. So that's the blessing.
And I also want to add this last little part, that we are you identified where I came from and where she had come from. So it is a mutant in the house because there's a Ravens fan and it's an Eagles fan. So you gotta have patience.
Oh, but the Eagles are doing great.
And the Ravens are doing great too.
They are.
She's only vouching for that last little win, but that ain't nothing. You gotta win though.
And we won the game today.
God bless you. But we just thank you for joining us. Yes, I want to throw this out there. Definitely jump on our YouTube page at the Couples Channel 5812, and also you can email us at the Couples Channel is also 5812@gmail.com. You can just leave some comments or anything, and then go ahead into our page on Facebook.
Share.
Yes, and we just thank you.
And then we also just want you just to talk about this topic with your spouse. After you watch the live, have that conversation with your spouse, and you guys can talk about some of these topics that we went over on today. And if you guys have anything that you want us to pray for, just send us the inbox or an email. We are here for that as well.
Yes, and I hope y'all definitely have a blessed day, new year.
Yes, don't bring old things into this new year.
Yes, it's a new creation. We just talked about patience. I'm telling you, have patience with your spouse. And we are just thankful for y'all to join us on tonight. Y'all have a blessed night.
Yes.
God bless y'all.
God bless you.